Okay, so you have probably heard in the news that inflation is on the up yet again, and we're expecting to hit 4.6% inflation by Christmas. Now, naturally, this is going to have an impact on our money. So I wanted to share with you today some inflation-beating money tips that can help you kind of weather this storm a little bit. Now, the other day, I was super fortunate and super excited to get a call from BBC News and be invited onto their show to talk about the impact of inflation on families and share some tips on how you can save money and manage your finances better during this time. So this was a fab opportunity for me and kind of a bit of a dream. Like when I started working and looking after your pennies, I hoped that I would get that call one day. So it was really a dream come true. But it actually inspired me to make a slightly longer video. My moment on air was fantastic, but it was brief, and I'm not sure that I was able to convey everything I wanted to in my brief window of opportunity on the BBC News. So today I thought I would share and elaborate on some of the tips that I talked about on that show, just to give you a bit more detail and to give you the best chance of beating inflation over the next year or two. Now, the statistics presented by the BBC News said that with rising inflation, it is likely to cost the average household an additional £33.60 every week. And that is a huge number. Like, we're not getting any more stuff for that. That is literally just how much things are increasing by. And let's face it, our wages aren't going to be increasing by that much, and certainly not as fast as we were anticipating that inflation is rising by. I looked back on BBC's website just before I went on the news, and their website had an article from September that said they expected inflation to hit 3% by the end of 2022. So actually, this is it's happened a lot quicker than anybody was expecting. So what can you do then? Well, I've got a few tips. Let me share them. The first one, keep an eye on your everyday expenses. So these are things like, your bills, your energy bills, your broadband, your mobile phone. Now, it's a kind of a turbulent time to be thinking about switching your energy, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. There could be some great deals out there. I don't recommend moving away from an energy provider just because you think they're going to go under. You don't need to worry about things like the price and any credit that you have built up. There are regulations in place to protect those elements. But if you're outside of a contract or your price has just gone up, now could be the time to switch to a cheaper deal and lock in a lower rate for the future. You can do this with other bills too. If you're out of contract on your broadband, now is a great time to shop around and find a cheaper deal. You might be able to find a cheaper price for faster broadband and get some cash back too if you go through a major cashback site. This is something that I did for us recently, and I ended up saving £1.50 a month on our broadband, ended up with faster broadband, and made over £120 in cashback. So that's pretty exciting for me to have made an impact on our monthly expenses and got a bit of money up front too. Mobile phone is another area to consider. This is something that we probably overlook. We can get drawn in by the FOMO of wanting the latest iPhone or, Android phone that's just come out, and we just sign ourselves up to increasingly more expensive mobile phone contracts. If there is nothing wrong with your phone, you could switch to, say, a SIM-only deal. And there are plenty of these on the market for about £6 per month. Now, you might decide you want a little bit more than what that basic one offers, but it's still something to consider. If you are out of contract or nearing the end of your contract, you could switch to a cheaper contract without getting a new handset and save yourself some money every month. Now, another area to think about is food, and this is probably where we're going to be seeing a more immediate impact on, increasing prices. Food for us as a family of four is super expensive, and it's likely to be having an impact in your household too. There was some great information on the BBC website that said that things like margarine have increased by 15%, and that is significant. That's above the average inflation rate. Some things, particularly Christmas items for this time of year, are actually below what they were at last year. This is likely to, supermarkets trying to keep the costs down to kind of give everybody a decent Christmas given what happened back in 2020. So we can kind of, thank our supermarkets for that. But going forwards into 2022, this is probably going to be something that you want to keep an eye on. I have a few suggestions about this. The first one is to do some meal planning. Now, I bang on about this a lot, but actually it's been a huge factor in making sure that we do not overspend on our food. All you need to do is plan what meals you're going to have during the week, and you don't necessarily need to plan which days, although I find that really helpful too, and it helps prevent some wastage. But you can just sort of go, we're going to have this meal, and then you just order the things you need for that. If you combine that with, having a little look through your freezer and your cupboards and things first to see what you already have, you can design some meals on the cheap that uses some of the stuff that you already have. You can take it one step further and even look at what things are cheap in the supermarket. So if you're online shopping, this is a great way to do this. Have a look at what's on offer, have a look at what the cheapest foods are out there, and design the meals you're going to have based on those cheapest products. So supermarkets are constantly having offers on different things, and you might be able to adapt your meal plan to make the cheapest meals possible. You can also do things like just reviewing the types of products that you're buying. So you're a die-hard Heinz fan, but maybe you could switch down to the supermarket's own brand. Normally you won't experience a huge loss of quality, but just make sure you check in on the toddler, because they can be fussy. If you switch from, Cheerios to Honey Nut Loops Tesco's own. I have been there. Wasn't a fun conversation. So, there might be some products where you can't do this, but have a look at some areas where you might be able to make this switch down and save yourself a bit of money. Another area of your finances you probably need to look at is your savings. These are going to be hit hard by inflation, particularly when interest rates are hovering below 1%. When interest rates are so low and inflation is so high, your savings are effectively losing value. Now, you can combat some of this by making sure that you're getting the best savings rate available. So you might need to shop around to find the best rates that are out there. You're unlikely, it's impossible at the moment, to find a savings interest rate that is actually going to beat the levels of inflation. It's just not out there. And if you're really looking to make a difference and actually exceed the rate of inflation, then you may want to look into investing. Now, that's not financial advice, but it is the way that a lot of people are beating inflation at the moment. And if you want more information on this, then please do check out the Money Nook. This is my financial education membership, and I have an investing course included in that price. So please do go and check that out. The link is below in the description. Now, you may want to reconsider some big purchases. Yes, prices are high at the moment, but there are some reasons behind this, such as supply shortages and, energy price rises. But we're hoping that in the future, these things might level out. So we might find that things are cheaper in the future, or at least relatively cheaper. It depends on what supply issues they may be having at the moment. So if you're maybe thinking about buying a big ticket item, things like a car or, a new TV, something like that, if you can hold out, it might be worth doing so until inflation levels out a bit more. Now, be prepared that this could go on for a couple of years, if not longer. So, you need to balance up whether now is the right time or whether you can wait. So think seriously about this before making that decision. Now, my final tip in this area is probably a little bit controversial, but it's probably the best way to beat inflation at the moment. And that is to earn more money. And that's the bottom line. If we are increasing our income over and above the rate of inflation, then we are going to be able to get through this without worrying about that impact. Now, your standard company, particularly if you're working in the public sector, you are unlikely to be able to get a pay rise that matches the level of inflation. So what you are going to need to do is maybe look at different ways you can do this. Now, you could go to your boss and ask them for a pay rise, particularly if you're working in the private sector. You could say, inflation's like this at the moment, demonstrate your commitment to the company and the work that you've done, and your boss might sign off on a hefty pay rise. Alternatively, you could have a look for a promotion. Is there something you could do internally? Or maybe if that's not the right move, maybe jump ship and move to another country. You could jump ship and move to another company. We are living in the age of the Great Resignation, so, there's never been a better time to maybe make this decision, switch jobs, ask for more money. And if those options don't appeal to you, then there's always a bit of side hustling. Now, I don't want to advocate side hustling as a way to, make ends meet. We don't want to be working any harder than we have to already. But it is a great way to increase your income, and it has worked really well for me. Just be careful about managing your own time and energy levels so you're not overworking just to make ends meet. There are better solutions out there. Anyway, a big thank you for watching this video. Make sure that you hit that like button, you hit subscribe. I put out 2 videos every week and I would love to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.